Alrighty, so here we're going to do a quick showing of how to exploit, how an exploit can go from a web application vulnerability straight to uh, access to the underlying system and privilege escalation. This is done on the Docker VM, capture the flag that I pulled from vulnhub.com. Took me a while to do it. This is obviously I've done this before, so I have a generalized idea of where I'm going. But I'll try and walk you through all the steps as I went through them and give you guys a good idea of what I'm doing. So first, we're going to start out. I have the Docker VM image loaded up. It's ready to roll. I have it sitting on 192.168.142.129, so on my internal network. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an nmap scan. So just to get one run on the system, get an idea of what ports are open, kind of get me services are running on those ports, things of that nature. So we'll let nmap kick off here really quick, and then once nmap's done, then we can continue. I'll continue on the steps. So as you can see, with nmap, we have two ports that are open. Port 22, which is running SSH, and port 80, which is running a web server of some type. It looks like it's an Apache server, and as you can see, it's titled Docker or Docker Donkey. So you can see that the robot.txt file has a couple things in it: contact PHP, index PHP, and about PHP. Well, so we've got an idea of what services and ports are up. Now we're going to want to run a directory brute forcing to kind of give an enumeration of what other things could possibly be on this website without actually going to the website itself. So first, I'm going to run the dirb on the web server to see what I can find. As you can see, dirb buster, what it does is it basically has a directory of lists, a word list, and it's going to basically run these words against the web application, try and see if it can find certain things. Like an example here, assets, it's got contact, different things like that, directory, CSS, things of that nature. It's just going to run through it, and it's going to try and find stuff on the web page. So we'll let that run. Alrighty, as you can see, we found a few sites. Ended up finding, the license, the examples at index. So what we can do is, let's just take a look at the examples mailer. So let's just open up the website here really quick. So we'll browse to, 29. Okay, so there's the website itself. Nice, looks good. But we did find in there and so here we go. So in that index, as you can see here, where's it at? Mailer, examples, right there. So we can find, with the index right there, we can tell that it's a PHP mailer. So while we're at it, we might as well check out the GitHub page for PHP mailer. So let's try GitHub, and let's do PHP mailer. Yeah, fine. There we go. As you can look on the PHP mailer, it looks like, unless the default thing is saying, there's also a version site potentially on there. So let's just check to see if we can find it, right? So let's go. And bam, look at that. We have the version of the PHP mailer. So that's the first major target we're going to be looking at. But there's also, we could also go through and direct all the other, go through and search through all the other all the other files that are in the robot.txt, but we're not going to because I know they don't go anywhere. This is the mailer is where everything is. So now that we know that PHP mailer, we know what the version is. We're going to try and find an exploit for it. See if there's anything out there that has already been done for this version of PHP mailer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go search, use a tool called Searchsploit, which is built into Kali, and we're going to search for PHP mailer. And lo and behold, we found some exploits, and it looks to me like we found a couple exploits here that will work with our version number. And due to my affinity for Python, I'm going to be using number 40,974.py, as it's a good way to, it's a good remote code execution vulnerability, and I know it happens to work. So, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use the search exploit again. We're going to use the -m flag, which basically saves the exploit into the root directory. That's gonna, and so there we go. Now we've moved our exploit into the root directory. So if we just do a quick ILS, we can see it right there, and we think, oh, we're good to go, right? Now we have to do some minor configuration issues to this. To this Python script, as it does have some dependencies that we need. We need to make sure we have this installed, which I already installed from my previous attempt. But this is something the request tool belt is another dependency that does need to be installed for this exploit to work. And it kind of gives a nice little overview here of the exploit. However, if you notice, there's some things that we need to change to get this exploit to work 100%. First is we need to change the target, as obviously we're not going to be attacking myself with this exploit. We're going to be attacking this web app hosted on the Docker. So we're going to change this to our IP address, and we're going to leave that alone. We don't need to change that. And then we're going to change this to my local IP address, which I have right here. And we're going to go into the payload, because this is our payload right here. And it's not encoded or anything, it's just straight up a payload that's just going to be submitted. And it's going to basically upload this into a PHP file, and we'll get it exported. And it's going to be listening on 44, or going to be calling back on 4444. So this is a reverse. It's actually the web application sending the shell back to me. So with everything here, it also looks solid, right? It thinks, okay, we're good to go. Well, as you're about to see in about a second, it again is not going to work. Let's try Python 40.97. Something's not right. What's going on here? Well, it looks like to me that a non-ASCII character is in line 34, but no encoding has been declared. So this exploit has encoding in it, but it doesn't actually actively declare it. Lucky for me, I do know that it's using UTF-8 encoding. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going back into the exploit, and I'm going to be adding at the top, and it has to be at the top because or else it won't function correctly, the coding. Now we'll try again. And as you can see, it looks like everything ran. So we have our exploit. It's on the web server now. We can check this. I will in about a second. But before I do that, I'm going to get a listener popped up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use netcat, use the -v for verbose, the -l for listening, and the -p for port. And I'm going to tell it to listen on 4444. So now as you can see, netcat's looking on our IP address for anything that connects out to 4444. So going back to the website, I'm going to go to payload.py and see what it does. Oh, dang it. I have a backup for this because for some reason every once in a while doesn't work. some reason it doesn't like it every once in a while. But we'll retry that here really quick. And there we go. As you can see, we have a connection. So let's just do a quick who am I for our www data. So we have access now to the Docker, but we're in a restricted shell. And if you don't know what a restricted shell is, basically it's very limited functionality. It doesn't quite function as we would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break out of this restricted shell using a Python command that's really simple. And basically what this is doing is importing the library, and then it's using that to spawn the bash. Doing that, and we've broken out of the shell. So now we have normal shell access to the system. We can take a look around and see what we got. So first thing I do when I get into a system is I like to see if I can view the password, the PASSWD file. So let's do a cat. Oops. Yeah, that's not going to work. And as you can see, it is doing double inputs. I'm not sure why this bash shell doesn't like to play along, but it's not that big a deal. As long as I know what inputs are being put in, it's not that big a deal. So cat. And also, as this is a shell, you can't do that. You can't delete. So cat. And as you can see, we have view of all the users on the system. So as you can see, we have a Smith. That looks interesting. Let's keep scrolling up. Nobody's nothing. Doesn't look like anything else, but root obviously male. But Smith seems interesting. But so I'm gonna try and see if I can move into Smith and just see what happens. So let's go SU Smith, and I'm just gonna try his username as a password because why not? Obviously, this doesn't usually happen, but we did move into Smith. Now, obviously, in a lot of different scenarios, hopefully your user won't use the same username as their password, but you never know. So, we have Smith. We're into Smith. Well, let's do a quick ID and see what permissions I have as Smith. And it looks like I'm just part of the users group. I don't have any extra permissions. But we might as well see what we can find in the file system. Doing a quick look at the file system, I can see, the typical bin repository, the root folder. Let's see if we can get into that. Obviously, permission denied. That main sh does look interesting, so let's cat that and see what we have in there. This is interesting. Bin bash, changing permissions. Interesting. Not sure on that, or that it's an interesting looking site, but we're not quite sure what to do with that yet, although we will come back to this later. So, we're going to try it. We'll go to the home folder. ls-al to look at everything. So this will look at, so we can see the root folders there, we can see the Smith folders there, but we obviously can't access the root. So let's just go into Smith here. Let's do another ls-al. And as you can see, there's a flag.txt. Oh, look, our first flag. So and we found the first flag. And the author of this capture the flag gave us a nice little hint. I like 1984, written by George Orwell. Interesting. I wonder why. That's there, right? No, I actually know. But as you can see, the Docker. He's giving us another hint too. I know nobody created a user into the Docker container, but who cares? Interesting. Looks like he's trying to drop us a hint. Well, let's go look back at what we have for other files. Well, there's the .sh, and we did see our .ssh file folder, which usually can sometimes have login credentials for SSH servers. Well, we did see SSH running on the box, so let's just take a quick peek at the .ssh folder. So let's move into that directory. And as you see, we have permissions to it. Let's do an ls dash That's going to be pissed. Anyways, so an ls. And as you can see, we have the authorized keys, an ID file, and an ID.pub file. So let's just take a look at the authorized keys. So we'll use the cat and just take a quick look, and oh look, there's a Docker user, Orwell. Huh. And an SSH ID identifier. Interesting. Well, let's take a look at the private key here. So let's cat ID. Let's take a look at this. Oh look, we have complete access to the private key of this system. So we're going to copy that, and I'm going to go open up another terminal, and I'm going to use nano. We're going to call it ID. Sorry, ED25519. And I'm going to paste the private key in there. We're going to save that. And so now we have our own version of his private key. Now obviously you can't just private key or use SSH. You have to have specific permissions restricted on that file to make sure that nobody else uses it, or else SSH will get really mad. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a quick chmod that restricts the access only to my user for that file. So we've found out that there's a user at George Orwell or Orwell at docudocker.com. So we know that works, and we know SSH is running. So let's try a quick SSH into the command. So we'll do an SSH -I for the ID. We're going to use the ID that we found from the box. We're going to do Orwell at our IP address, which is, I can't remember. Let's take a quick Orwell at 192.168. Where are we at? I can never remember IP address. Which one is it? Ah, there it is. Nope. Oh, there it is right there. Oops. .142.129. And bam! We have access to George. Oh, interesting. We have another GPG. We found another flag. That's pretty sweet. We've gotten into the machine. Let's take a look at the ID. We're stuck inside the Docker, but we do have SSH control. Well, we have privileges, but not quite what we're looking for. But we do know that this is running in a Docker. So let's just take a quick look and see what's running inside the Docker container. So let's go Docker. And as you can see, here's our main SH folder, or file. Now this is how we're going to get privilege escalation. We're going to basically abuse how the system, because it runs as root, to abuse and add ourselves as a root user. So what we're going to do, so we're going to keep both these up. We don't want to close out both these sessions. We have both these running. We need both to do this correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the home directory of Smith. And then there's our flag file, which is being used, as we noticed earlier in the thing, that this main SH file is actually talking to. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to make a backup to this flag. So we're going to do mv flag.text, and we're going to do it flag.text. Oops, crap, I was going to get pissed. Yep, flag, dang it. Fine, mv flag.text, and we're going to call it fij.text.backup. So now we've moved that into there. And now what we're going to have us do is we're actually going to move the etc file, or the password file, into the flag.txt. So we're going to do ln-s/etc/paswd. Oops. Oh, I used the wrong command. That's why. And now we move that into there. And now we're going to want to go over to the Donkey Docker, and we're going to want to restart this. Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to have it basically pull the password file and put it into flag.txt. So what we're going to quickly do here is we're going to restart the Donkey Docker. And now this is going to kill our PHP shell over here that we have popped up. Not a big deal. We have the exploit still sitting on the server. All we have to do is once again get back using netcat and recreate the shell. And there it is. It's dead. We just reopen the listener. We just run the vulnerability again. Oops. That's why I had the wrong. Reopen it up. There it is. Backdoor. We're going to once again escape out of the shell. Where's my script at? There it is. Escape out. And let's see. So we've escaped. Okay. And now we're going to want to go change over to Smith again. We're going to change it to get back into the home directory, back into Smith. And as you can see, flag, so we'll do a cat on flag. And there we are. Look, we have the entire space of the etc password file. So after this, we're going to want to add ourselves. Basically what we're going to do is I'm going to add myself as a root user. So using the PHP shell, I'm going to be basically echoing myself into that file. Ready. Should I find where I'm at? There I am. Okay. So now I've echoed myself into that file. And then once again, we're going to have to restart the Docker again. Oops, wrong one. Dang. Actually, I can just do this. And once again, we're going to lose our connection. Not a big deal. Now it's restarted. We'll once again reload. Oops, gotta have my netcat listener up. Reload it up again. We're going to want to escape the shell again using the Python script. And then we're going to once again switch over to Smith. Not what I wanted to do. And then from Smith, we are going to once again go back to the home folder. Move into Smith's folder. And now we're going to want to add a password to ourselves. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to echo into the password file my info. Basically what I've done here is I have added myself in using the default, oops, I used the wrong one. My bad. That's what I wanted to do. Hopefully that doesn't work. I'm basically using the same password that we pulled from Smith and put it into the file as my password. So now let's give it a quick shot. Let's see if we can. Yeah, I was going to authentication failure because I messed that up. I got to restart the Docker again. Oops, yeah, that ain't gonna work. Okay, broken out of that. There we go. Now we want to use this. Now I'm going to re-echo my password in really quick. And then let's try sudo. Oops. Authentication failure. Let's see. Oh, I skipped a step. Whoops, my bad. I forgot I need to. I've already added my username, as you can tell, but it's erroring out at the authentication because I skipped a step. So what I need to do is I need to remove the flag again, and I need to use basically doing the same thing. I need to move the shadow file into into the flag.txt. So it's kind of mad. Yeah. There we go. Now I have to restart the Docker again, re-add it in. This time it should work. I knew I was skipping a step because I was trying to explain how I got the password, and you guys would not have known how I got the password. Simple. We go back to this, open the back door again, escape the shell again. And here we are. We can do, now we go to Smith. We can go to the home directory. Let's just do cat. And as you can see, there's misspelled password. And that's what we're going to be using to interject into the file for my username. Because now this is just the shadow file, which means that we now need to enter this into the shadow file. So that's where this next script comes from, is we're moving it into the shadow file, my password. So we do that. Now if we try to move over to my account, bam. And there we go. Now we have complete root access to the file system, all through a PHP vulnerability in the PHP mailer. That is it for this. Or for this, there is another step to get into. There's one more flag that's hidden deeper in the Docker. It's not. I'll have to go and tear into that again. I haven't done it in a while, but this is a good proof of concept. If you have any questions, let me know. Alrighty, thanks.